So we are off, ready to go here in Baku. We are now into the formation lap. Going down the grid, it is the Williams, the McLaren, the Racing Point, the Alfa Romeo, the Red Bull, Haas, Renault, the other Red Bull, the Ferrari, both Mercedes, and the Toro Rosso. Flyer, not currently in session. Not too sure if his car is still on the grid or not at this time, but he will be looking to come back in here. I have a feeling that there will be no more restarts here, as most of the drivers are clean and away. 3 cars currently remaining on the grid, waiting for their drivers to take their seats in those cars. It's Cali and Double G, according to what I'm seeing here. Brownie up through that castle section. Coming up now into sector 3. Sorry. Following through these back winding straight here, they will come down to that 45 at the end, and then they will be moving down into the 90-degree turn, entering sector 3. Apologies there for getting my sectors and turns confused. Brownie starting on pole here in Baku. I'm sure he's quite happy with that. Pole position, obviously, one of the better positions to start in, especially on a race in Baku. Given the fact that you don't need to be worried as much, I don't think, about contact. It looks like we had a bit of a collision or contact there coming down the pit straight. But if I'm not mistaken, damage resets once the race begins. And if it doesn't, that would be very unfortunate for a few of these guys. Hopefully these drivers were able to load back in for the race. I do believe Flyer disconnected as we loaded in, and Panda, maybe, not too sure. But we did have at least 1 or 2 drivers not in their cars at the beginning of the warm-up lap. Hopefully we'll see them in the race. As things are now lining up here on the grid, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Lights out. These guys are off here in Baku. It is the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Thank you all for tuning in. Down into turn 1, we have the McLaren coming out ahead here, but it is the Williams and the McLaren going wheel to wheel down into turn 2. The McLaren keeping things out front. That Williams dropping back a position now. So far, so good. Doesn't look like we have too much contact coming down the grid here. Most wings are intact, and it does look like Flyer is not with us for the race, as I am unable to spectate his car at this time. Kai Bacchini swiping that race leadership position in the McLaren through turns 1 and 3. He'll be very happy he's off to that early lead. We're going to have a quick look over at tires now here. Take a look at what these guys are running on their cars at the moment. Kai Bacchini, Brownie, and TechSlave, the top 3 race leaders at the moment, all running on the soft compound tire, with some idiot running in 4th on those mediums. Skybits on the softs as well. David in the Renault on mediums. Travesty on softs. Tesmo up and through to Big Boy Daniel in that Racing Point. All 4 of those drivers are running on the medium compound tire. As we are getting ready to finish up our opening lap here, there is a virtual safety car. Not too sure what happened there. It looks like the Mercedes of Double G out of this race on the opening lap in Baku. Can't be too happy with that performance. Not too sure what happened there. Hopefully if somebody was able to see a notification, or if any of the drivers not currently racing know what happened to Double G, please let me know. I would love to know what happened there. So these drivers are now under virtual safety car conditions for the time being. Looks like we're back ready to go here on the grid. I do believe things are green as we come down into turn 1 now. The Williams looking to maybe make a move on the McLaren there, but he thought twice about it. Coming down into turn 2 though. Ooh, a little bit of contact there. A little bit of contact with the rear of that McLaren. Definitely going to lose some time to that McLaren now is Brownie in that Williams. TechSlave looking to capitalize, as I now have some bugs coming through here on the stream. with the intervals. I know we had some issues with that last week. Hopefully those things will rectify themselves as these drivers cross the line moving into lap 3. So far, it is green flag conditions. Some things are slow at the back here in turn 2, and going into turn 3, it's Travesty ahead of the Ferrari of Smasha. Looks like something may have happened with the racing point there. Not too sure what's going on. A few of these drivers struggling to come and join the rest of the grid. Pandakoi out of this race in the Ferrari. Not too sure what happened there either. If anyone's able to give me an update on what happened to Pandakoi, that would be fantastic. Again, Flyer, not in this race, I do believe, or at the very least, I'm unable to see his car. Kai Bacchini still holding on to that race lead position with Brownie looking to catch him very quickly. It's very possible that Brownie has damage on that car after that tap with the rear of the McLaren. But as we come down this main straight now, it doesn't look like he took any damage on the front wing of his car. Very, very fortunate for the Williams driver. Some idiot now in that racing point behind TechSlave. Hopefully we can get an updated interval as him and the Alfa Romeo come down in through turn 1. Thank you very much, Codemasters, for updating my intervals, as it is the racing point less than half a second behind the rear of that Alfa Romeo, fighting for that third place race position at this time. It is lap 3 of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Very nice overtake there from the racing point, as there's a bit of a lockup from the Alfa Romeo moving through into turn 4. These drivers very close at the moment. The racing point of David looking to capitalize on the battle going down for third position. Skybits also trailing behind the Renault very, very closely here, as we have some very, very tight intervals moving up in the third lap. Very good to see that always. Very, very consistent, clean driving from the top 10 so far. I do not believe we've had any major incidents, but it is Callie with a very, very damaged front left wing there. He is missing all of his downforce fins as well as his end plate. Very, very tough time coming up through the castle section for that Mercedes driver. I wonder what he will do in this race, if we'll see a very early pit stop from him or if he'll carry on with the damaged front wing. But if it was me, I definitely see him moving into the pits as there's a retirement. It's the Mercedes driver coming down through sector 2. No front wing there. Oh, very, very poor finish there for the Mercedes. He cannot be happy with that, as there is a third retirement here in Baku. Looks like we might have a safety car come out after that. His car is right in the middle of the circuit up through into sector 2 there. We have a yellow flag. Will there be a safety car? We'll find out very shortly. Double G has left the session after that retirement. Or sorry, Callie still here in the session. Double G is now out of the session. Pandakoi out of the session. Callie now out of the session as well, as we still have racing to watch here up in the front. It is Kai Bacchini falling to the Williams there. He's now back into second place. The Williams coming out ahead of Brownie. Kai Bacchini looking to stick to him like glue, wants to keep that distance at least 1 second or less so he can maintain DRS coming through here in fourth lap. And of course the racing point of some idiot closely following behind them in third right now. Very sad to see both Mercedes out of the race here in Azerbaijan. David is in fourth, TechSlave in fifth. Skybits currently 3 seconds back on that Alfa Romeo of TechSlave. Skybits running in sixth in that Red Bull. We are only 4 laps in here, and we've already seen 3 drivers out of this race. A possible DNS for Flyer in the Toro Rosso, not starting that lap, as you can see here. A little bit of a bug there on our screen, as he is shown to have been on the medium compound tire, setting 0 laps thus far. So we will count him out of this race. 12 drivers remaining here for this 50% drive in Baku. Not too many tight intervals at this time. We are now going to go on board with Bacchini as he looks to retake the race lead here. Moving down into turn 3, he is on the rear with DRS of that Williams. If you are just joining us, something to note is I have it set so that all the car sounds sound like the F2004 Ferrari. I think it makes for a very entertaining viewer experience. As we move down here through the exit of Sector 1. Kai Bacchini still stuck onto that Williams, looking to make up some time here through Castle section, wanting to keep under 1 second the gap. Some idiot now making up some time there on the McLaren driver as Kai Bacchini is now falling quite far behind that Williams. We're going to have to take a look at the front end of that McLaren as he's losing too much time, it seems. There may be some damage. There may have been an incident we missed, and there definitely was, as he is currently missing his front right wing end plate. Curious to see what he does after that damage. Will we see him pit, or will we see him fight with that Racing Point to maintain that second position here in the race? Down the straight now, he is staying out on those soft compound tires. Some idiot more than likely going to have an opportunity to pass him here in the 6th lap of the race. As you can see here, the Racing Point of Some Idiot does not have any front wing damage at the moment as he comes up the rear of the McLaren with DRS, looking to make a move down the straight, moving into turn 3. McLaren moves off to the inside. It is the Racing Point on the outside, the McLaren down the inside. He stays out in front of that Racing Point as we move here into turn 4. That McLaren still out in front here. Couple positions being exchanged now as Skybits and TechSlave into the pits. Skybits looks like he's jumping onto the soft compound tire. Not too sure what he's doing just yet for that strategy. And out of the pits, he takes wing damage. Not looking good for the Red Bull of Skybits here as he has just come out of the pits. Very, 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 very bad for that Red Bull, losing that front right end plate. Doesn't look like his downforce fins took too much damage, but it is now. Still, Some Idiot in that Racing Point falling very closely behind that McLaren up in the podium positions at the moment. We are going to stick with them for the time being, as this is fighting for podium positions here in Baku. Moving down into Sector 3 now. Keep in mind that McLaren does have front wing damage, the Racing Point having none. Down onto the main straight. These drivers fighting very, very close here. The Racing Point looks like he is up ahead now. As we come down through here, it is the McLaren diving into the pits. David moving up into 3rd now as the McLaren's into the pits. We're going to see quite a few position changes here, I imagine, as he's looking to get both the front wing and the tires switched. He'll be looking to go on the medium compound. And he is now out of the pits here, as it is now a front 3 of Brownie in the Williams, Some Idiot in the Racing Point, and David in the Renault. Gelmel in the Renault making up some time on that Toro Rosso of Tesmo as we move here into turn 3. Toro Rosso, bit of a lockup there on the rear right tire, or the rear left tire, it looked like. It looks like I saw a blue flag moving through Sector 1 there. I could be mistaken. I hope I'm mistaken. I think it's far too early in the race for there to be any kind of lapping going on. If you guys are enjoying the stream, let me know in the comment section below. I love to see that people are still enjoying and watching in the chat. Let me know how you guys are finding the commentary so far here in Baku, as we are only 7 laps into the race with three retirements, a couple of pit changes now. Pit stops so far, we've seen Kai Bacchini in 7th all the way through the 12th positions here in this race stop so far. The front 6 drivers opting to stay out. As we can take a look here now Quite a few position changes here through the first phase of this race. Gelmel up 11 positions from where he started here, being the most significant change in the race thus far. Tesmo up 8 positions. David up 4 positions, with a few other minimal changes there for advancements, but some big drops here we can see as Kai Bacchini's back 5 places. Keep in mind, he has pitted so far. We'll be looking to take a look at that grid and the position movement later on in the race when a few more things come into play. Gap to leader right now for the race is currently 3.1 seconds from second to first. From the last race position, Big Boy Daniel in that Racing Point, he's currently a minute off the race leader. He'll be looking to make up some time here. The fastest lap of the race so far here in Baku is a 142.6 set by Brownie on that soft compound tire. We'll see if he can improve later down the line with less fuel in the car and fresher tires, whether it be the medium or the hard compound. As we are now back to the wheel-to-wheel racing, it is Skybits looking to make a move here on Travesty in that Haas. Not too sure if Skybits had to pit again there for a new front right wing end plate. It doesn't look like he did, but he is catching Travesty in that Haas due to the fact that Skybits is on 2-lap-old soft compound tires, whereas Travesty running on 6-lap-old medium compound tires. So we'll see if Travesty can hold out until those tires equalize. Obviously, the softer tires degrading much faster than the medium compound. Pretty fairly spaced intervals up through the grid now as we see our race leader dive into the pits. It is Brownie coming into the pits after 8 laps on the soft compound tire. He is the first out of the front runners to pit so far here in the race, with the exception of Kai Bacchini. Brownie onto the hard compound tire now. It is lap 9. We'll see if he wants to make those last up until around the 20 lap markers. Obviously, Azerbaijan, a very, very hard race for tire wear. Very surprised to see some of these drivers coming through on the soft compound tire, but it looks like most of the drivers here could be opting for a 2-stop strategy, as it is some idiot now in the race leader position. 8-lap-old soft or medium compound tires for the Racing Point driver as he moves through now into the castle section. Very nice and smooth for that driver coming up through Castles. Keeps it in third, rounding that right-hander curb. Coming up through now into the straights in 6th, up into 7th now as he rounds that left turn. Looking for some racing here. It looks like Skybits made the move on Travesty for that 9th place position. Keep in mind, Skybits does have that wing damage, and he is on the fresher tires. Travesty looking to maybe bounce back here. Doesn't look like he has... Oh, but he does. He also has wing damage there on the front left of that Haas car. Tech Slave, fresh hard tires, having warmed up at this point, looking to maybe collect a couple of positions from these two here, as he doesn't look like he has any damage on that front of his car. Kai Bacchini on the new mediums versus the 8-lap-old softs. He's going to be looking to make a move on that Red Bull, who also has wing damage. For those of you unfamiliar with Baku, wing damage, very, very, very common here, as it is a very tight circuit. Most F1 drivers describe it as driving in a cage, with all of those tight, narrow 90-degree turns through Sector 1. Of course, Sector 2 being very tight and narrow as well. It's just a very tight and narrow circuit all around. Kai Bacchini taking a position from the Red Bull of Xavi here, moving through now into lap 10. They'll be looking to fight, though, down into turn 3. The Red Bull with the DRS. We'll see if he can make something happen here as he comes down the inside now. Thinking better of it, he sticks behind that McLaren. He'll be looking to bounce back, obviously. Might not happen, though, given the tire life of both drivers. Skybits now 12 seconds away from 7th position. His teammate yet to pit so far. Some idiot, David, Tesmo, Gelmel, and Xavi. The only 5 drivers that have yet to pit here in this race. We've seen 2 stops from Smasha and Big Boy. Now looking for wing damage here on some of these cars to see what kind of time loss they'll be suffering. Xavi keeps locking up, it seems, according to my friend Sanchez in the chat. As this is the first time I have commentated the ASN, I am not too sure what the assist restrictions are here on the race. Not too sure if brake assist is, or anti-lock brakes are on or not. David now in the Renault into the pits. He will fall back a couple of places as he starts his second stint. Looks like it was a fairly decent pit time for him, as I don't believe he had any damage or need for a wing change during his stop. He will come out of the pits in 7th position behind the Red Bull of Xavi. I'm sure David looking to make quick work of that Red Bull, as the Red Bull does have wing damage. Kai Bacchini back into 5th now. Looks like we're getting a blue flag for one of the drivers here on the circuit, as I saw through turn 4 there. We're currently on board with the 5th place running McLaren of Kai Bacchini. We'll stick with him as he moves up through Castles, and then we'll fight back to the... We'll switch back to the fight with David and Xavi. As you can see, Xavi struggling to keep that Renault at bay, as the Renault is currently 2/10 off of him. Beautiful camera angle here as we go into that 45-degree turn, moving through down into Sector 3 now. Could we see an overtake here from the Renault on the straight? We see another little bit of a lockup there from Xavi. He could be struggling on those 10-lap old hards at this point. And there is a very neat and tidy overtake there from the Renault, moving through the winding straight, coming down through now into the DRS zone. We'll see if Xavi can fight back here with DRS. That Renault going very, very quickly down the straight, locking out at a 328 kilometers per hour here. Xavi not being able to make a take back on the straight with DRS even. That wing damage definitely affecting his race, as well as the fact that he is on hard tires that are 11 laps, or 10 laps older, I should say, than the tires of the 6th position running Renault. Skybit's into the pits now for a wing change and fresh medium tires. He will be looking to bounce back, I'm sure, into the points after he had a very unfortunate wing damage coming out of the pits his last time round. It was here in Sector 2 that it happened, or sorry, Turn 2 that it happened. Very clean into that second turn there, as you can see. Not looking to repeat what happened last time he was out of the pits. He'll be looking to catch the Ferrari of Smasha, currently running 6 seconds ahead in 10th position. Kai now moving up the field once again in that McLaren. There's a little bit of a contact there coming through Sector 2. He's missing a front left end plate. Not too sure if that was there before. I can't remember. But he will be looking to fight Gelmel on the older tires. Gelmel also with the wing damage, though, on that Renault as we come through the winding straight up into the pit straight. What are we going to see happen here, as it is the McLaren down the outside now? Looks like he has the DRS down the straight. Gelmel jumping into the pits now to switch off those 12-lap old mediums. Kai Bacchini now up into 4th with wing damage and 6-lap old medium tires. Some idiot still in the race lead with 12-lap old mediums. He has been having a fantastic race so far, as he is currently 15.5 seconds ahead of the 2nd position driver, Brownie, looking to decrease that gap, as some idiot will more than likely be pitting soon. I imagine at this point now, 12 laps old here in Baku, he will start to feel the tire wear on those old mediums. Traction definitely going to start becoming an issue for him. David now on the rear of Kai Bacchini, looking to make a takedown, coming up through Castle. We'll see if he can close that gap. It's currently looking at around half a second here, moving up through into Sector 2. It is a very long Sector 2 here in Baku. Oh, DRS from the Renault here coming down the pit straight. We see him etch ahead according to our screen. Will he come out of turn 1 in front? Yes, he does. Very, very neat and tidy racing here from the Renault and the McLaren driver. David, no damage on the front of his car, as that was a fairly quick overtake down the straight there. Just biding his time, waiting for opportunity. Front left lock up there for the McLaren as we come through down into turn 4. David currently running in third in that Renault on 3-lap-old hard tires. He cannot be disappointed with that. Some idiot was into the pits now. If you missed it, I know I certainly did. Some idiot was into the pits. He was running on some fairly old medium tires. He switched over to the hard tire. He looks like he's going to go for the one-stop strategy here in Baku. Brownie now back into the lead on the 5-lap-old hards. He will look to keep that racing point at bay, as the interval right now is only 1.7 seconds. Not sure what you were looking for there, Yoda, but what do you need to know about setup, buddy? I gotta make a command for that. On board now at the racing point, coming down into turn 1 here, entering lap 15. Looking to close the gap on that Williams. Very good to see a Williams leading the race here in Azerbaijan. Williams does not get nearly enough credit in the current standing of Formula 1. My Twitch is stopping for you. Are you watching on the browser or on the desktop client? Because according to my OBS, everything is nice and healthy. Some idiot now up through Castle section here in Baku, looking to make up more time on that Williams. He is on the fresher compound tire. So guys, as we are just over halfway here in Baku, we're going to go through the grid now. Brownie currently running first in that Williams. Some idiot very close behind him in second in the racing point. David in the Renault currently 14 seconds behind second. In the Renault, he will be in third. Kai Bacchini currently running fourth in the McLaren. Tesmo is fifth in that Toro Rosso. TechSlave sixth in the Alfa Romeo, as we see him lose a little bit of the rear end traction coming out of that 45. Gelmel running in seventh in the Renault. Xavi 8th in the Red Bull. Smasha in 9th. Skybits in 10th. Travesty in 11th in that Haas. And Big Boy Daniel rounding off the rear of the grid in 12th in the other racing point. Couple things to note. We have 3 DNFs here so far. Cali and Double G in the Mercedes, as well as Pandakoi in the other Ferrari. And a did not start for Flyer 634 in the other Toro Rosso. We're going to check on the fastest lap here. Fastest lap is still held on to by Brownie. He ran a 1:42.6 earlier on in the race. I do believe it was on the soft compound tire. It may have been the mediums, but we will check later on. The gap to leader currently 1.1 for position 2. Big Boy Daniel has been lapped in this race. He'll be looking to hopefully unlap himself later on. We'll see if pits have a role to play in that. Tires now, everybody on either the medium or the hard compound tire here in Baku. A few of those drivers starting in the softs, maybe looking to have a 2-stop or a 1-stop. Time will tell, as we are now on lap 16. Big Boy having to had stop 3 times so far. Gelmel with 2 stops, Travesty, Skybits, and Smasha all on 2 stops, with Zavi up in through P7 into P1, all on the 1-stop strategy so far. We'll see if contact with the wing damage or the wall plays a role there. I do believe that is Big Boy Daniel pulling off for the blue flag for that Alfa Romeo of Tech Slave. Doesn't look like we have too many close intervals. Some idiot still fighting with Brownie for that race leadership position. Both of them very comfortable into podium positions at the moment. Kai Bacchini into the pits now, looking to change that wing that he had damaged. He is now going to leave the pits on medium tires, losing a couple of places here, I'm sure. Tesmo and Tech Slave up in front of him now as he comes out of the pits. He is back into 6th place now. Quite a tight interval there as we see the racing point of Big Boy Daniel lose a front wing. He is just not having a good race today, as he was off in qualifying as well as here in this race, missing both front end plates. He is not having a very good drive today here. Very unfortunate to see. What's going on, Sneaky? Welcome back to the stream, bud. Quite a bit of action going on here in Baku. It's been a very interesting race so far. Surprised we haven't seen a safety car yet with the amount of debris on track, or with the retirements of the 2 Mercedes and the Ferrari earlier on. We did have a VSC for a very short period of time so far. But for the most part, it's been a fairly clean race here in Baku, and I'm very impressed to see that. As we have Kai Bacchini in the McLaren now looking to make a move on the rear of that Alpha, coming down into Sector 3. He is very, very close, as he will more than likely have DRS now coming down through into the main pit straight. There we go now, coming around that gradual right turn. Will we see him open up the wing on DRS? Yes, we do. Etching ahead there as we can see the McLaren on the dash of that Alfa Romeo coming into turn 1 now. It is the McLaren out in the lead of that Alfa Romeo coming through down into turn 2. Will we see the Alfa make a move? It doesn't look like it, as I'm sure that Alpha going to be struggling for traction here on the 12-lap old hards against the 1-lap old mediums. Very, 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 very tough to keep up with a McLaren with a fresh wing change and fresh medium tires here. Tech Slave maybe looking to pit here on those tires as we have 8 laps left, or he could stretch them. He could stretch them to 20 laps. Tech Slave, a very formidable driver here. I've been told he's quite decent on tire wear. Kai Bacchini looking to make up that 4th position now, as he is getting ever so close to the Toro Rosso of Tesmo in 4th. Very, very, very tight with the wall. There is the McLaren driver as he risked losing that front right end plate. Coming down now into the turn at the end of the back straights. Wow, wow, what a slide there from the McLaren driver as he is making up very quick time here on this Toro Rosso. Down to less than a second now. He will look to have DRS down the pit straight. Very keen to see this battle unfold. Also watching, though, some idiot still very, very close to the rear of that Williams. that Williams going to start to taper off with some time now, as it is the McLaren coming down the pit straight. Doesn't look like he got the DRS. No DRS for the McLaren coming through down into the pit straight now. Tesmo on the 5-lap old hard tires. Could very well be that he falls to the McLaren here, but the McLaren driver coming into turn 2, keeping very, very tight on the rear of him. He will more than likely have DRS coming down this straight now, but he doesn't. Could we have a technical problem in the McLaren garage right now with the rear wing DRS for that driver? Very, very possible here, as he definitely should have DRS coming up through that turn 2 straight. Is there a VSC at the moment? If there is, that would definitely explain why there is no DRS. Okay, it just lifted. All right. Thank you, Capita, for catching that. I definitely missed the VSC. Not too sure what we had a VSC for now, but it is Gel Milk going into the pits, switching onto the soft compound tire. He will look to finish the race on those tires. Tech Slave. Oh, and there's a retirement. It's Bacchini. We just switched away from Bacchini's car, and there's a retirement. It's Kai Bacchini. Devastating retirement there for the McLaren driver. He is most likely going to finish at the back now in 12th position, as all of these drivers are going to have an opportunity to pass his retired car. No VSC at the moment, no yellows. That car is now off the grid. Very unfortunate for Kai Bacchini in the McLaren. He was having a fantastic race and was looking to get quite a good haul of points here in round 4 of the ASN Racing League. Travesty currently up into P7th, very, very close to the rear of Tech Slave. Couple close intervals to note of right now are the battle for P8, the battle for P6, and of course the battle for P1, as there are less than 2 seconds separating those 3 battles. Smasha now in the Ferrari coming down the main straight here, leading into the pit straight. He'll look to have DRS, and he will. It is the Ferrari driver of Smasha coming down on the rear of Skybits in that Red Bull now, clipping at an astonishing 341 kilometers an hour down into turn 1, making up a massive amount of time on that Red Bull. Of course, Smasha on those fresh soft tires, he will catch the medium compound tire of Skybits relatively quickly. Both of these drivers only 1 lap old on those compounds that each are running. Going down into turn 3 now. Ooh, and there's a spin as the Ferrari catches himself off. He is going to look to reset his car onto the circuit here. Very unfortunate there, as he has lost now 10 seconds to the Red Bull of Skybits. Very good news for Skybits, though, as it is Travesty currently 1.7 off of the Alfa Romeo of Tech Slave. Hey, what's going on, Jack? Welcome to the broadcast. Currently 21 laps into the ASN Round 4 Baku League race here. It's some idiot very, very close on the rear of that Williams now. Keep in mind the Williams on the older tires as we come down through now into Sector 2, starting off with the Castle section. Some idiot is going to look to make a move here. I can smell it. As we move up through Castle section, very, very clean for both drivers. No debris, no damage. That's always good to see. As this is now the tightest interval here on the grid, we will watch as this battle unfolds here. Gel Mel currently lapped by the 2 front runners, I do believe, as he is following the second place Racing Point in that Renault, as you see there. That Racing Point losing a lot of time through that back straight section here as we move in through Sector 3. He was very, very close, but he's now dropped back quite a bit. He could just be waiting for those tires to taper off quite a bit before he pushes very hard to overtake that race lead. But definitely going to be watching these 2 drivers as the next 4 laps unfold here. 5 laps left here in Baku. Some very, very spread out gaps right now as David, 18.5 off of second position. Tesmo, 26.2 off of third. Xavi, 7.5 off of P4. And it's TechSlave with a DNF on the soft tires now. This is really interesting. Not too sure what happened to TechSlave there, as it looks like he was running in 7th position. Correct me if I'm wrong, it may have been 6th position, but he drops out of the race now. Not too sure where his car DNF'd, but it looks like we are going to have a safety car. This is going to be huge information. Holy shit, we have a safety car here in Azerbaijan on lap 22. This could be a race-defining moment, as I'm sure a lot of these drivers are going to look to jump into the pits here before getting in front and behind that safety car. Unbelievable, as we have a safety car here in the final phase of the race. This is going to be huge. Starting to have flashbacks of the Formula 2019 Brazilian Grand Prix with all the safety cars we had to endure through that. Brownie currently leading the race in first with some idiot behind him. We're going to have a race restart behind safety car here now, as we see the Haas and the Red Bulls of Travesty and Xavi overtake the safety car to get into their proper queue positions. Skybits into the pits now. That could have paid off huge for him, as he gets a nice fresh set of soft compound tires. We'll see if any of these other drivers decide to make the pit stop here. It looks like Brownie and the Williams most definitely diving into the pits, looking to change up those hard tires for something a little fresher. Some idiot closely behind him into the pits now. This is going to be huge for the finish of this race here in Azerbaijan. We'll see if the Renault of David is into the pits, and yes, he is. Everybody coming into the pits now for those fresh tires. Keep in mind, some of these drivers may not have a fresh set of tires to go on. David now into the pits. No wing change for him, as everything was spick and span moving into the pits there. So it is some idiot, Brownie, David, and Tesmo all into the pits for fresh soft tires. Some idiot now out ahead of Brownie. Brownie being very clever here, sticking back behind a little bit here, keeping those tires at a very decent temperature, not sticking too close to the safety car, wants to avoid any possible contact. Something I know very, very much about. It's very easy to get caught off going too quick or too slow behind safety car conditions. Very easy to lose an end plate or a front wing here. We see Travesty now into the pits on the 9-lap old mediums. He'll be looking to get a fresh wing and fresh tires. Yoda, if you are still in the stream, I will more than likely do a restart of the stream after this. Maybe that'll fix things, but it may make a difference if you're on the client or if you're on the browser. Not too sure if you've tried out everything, but I'm very sorry to hear that you're having issues with the stream, my friend. It's not very normal for you. So, waiting for everybody to catch up on the safety car there. This could be very, very big for the racing point of Big Boy Daniel here. I'm not too sure if the safety car will wait for him to catch the queue or not. Yalmel opting to stay out on those soft tires. He is now up into 9th place. All of these drivers currently on the grid, from Big Boy Daniel in 10th all the way up to his teammate, some idiot, in 1st, looking to finish in the points, as there are only 10 drivers remaining here in Baku out of the 16 that we began the race with. We could be in here for a very controversial finish if that safety car is in fact waiting for Big Boy Daniel to catch up, we could be behind safety car conditions for quite some time. Safety car conditions here in Baku on lap 24 as we're on board with the Racing Point driver in the lead, following that car very, very closely. What an intense race so far. This safety car here in the end really, really intensifying things for the finish. If you're a driver here in the race, you are more than likely hoping for this car to go in at the end of this lap so that we can have 2 full laps of racing for the remainder of the Grand Prix. Very interested to see what's going to happen here. Really hoping that I can see that the safety car come in here at the end of lap 24. And I'm positive all of these drivers want to see that safety car come in as well, as everybody's completed their last minute pit changes or tire changes. As the safety car comes down through into sector 3 now, will we get a race control notification in regards to whether or not he's coming in? Yes, we do. It looks like we are going to be greenlit for racing moving into lap 25 here in Baku. The safety car coming in on this lap. The driver's slowing down now to get a good jump after the car comes in once the racing grid goes green. Only a few seconds separating all of our drivers right now, with the exception of our friend Big Boy Daniel in the Racing Point at the back of the grid. Some Idiot in the race lead versus Brownie. David looking to possibly get something going here, as the safety car is now into the pits here. We are green in Baku as we go into turn 1. It is Some Idiot in the lead with Brownie very, very close behind him. Looks like we might have had an issue through turn 1 there, but it is Smasha up into P6. Travesty and Skybits battling here. Quite the battle here as Skybits is right on the gearbox of that Haas driver, moving down into turn 3 now. It is Skybits on the outside, the Haas on the inside. Lots of space there for both drivers. Nice clean racing there. Zavi looking to make a move here. It's Travesty and Skybits still going back and forth. Travesty maintaining that lead position on Skybits right now as we move through into turn 4. Or turn 5, actually. Things happening very fast here on the restart as David is still in 3rd position. Brownie losing a bit of time there to Some Idiot. These drivers, you can tell whether or not they've got their tires warm or not. Ooh, Some Idiot very close to the wall there. He is our race leader here on the second last lap of the race. Skybits with a crazy battle with the Red Bull and the Haas of Travesty. Zavi looking to make a move on the Toro Rosso counterpart. He is currently running in 5th. Less than half a second separating him and the Toro Rosso as we move through here in the final section of this lap. Brownie with the DRS coming down the straight here. Is he going to overtake the Racing Point in the pit straight? My mistake. I forgot that there is no DRS for these last 2 laps, as you must wait 3 laps until the safety cars come in. A little bit of contact there. The Racing Point losing the rear. Not too sure what happened there, but the Racing Point is now back into 2nd position here as the Williams of Brownie is now leading the race here on the final lap of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Very, very close fighting here. We will go on with these guys for the remainder of the race. Travesty looking to make a move on the Ferrari of Smash, as we can see on the timing. But it is Some Idiot and the Williams of Brownie that we want to be watching here, as it is a very intense finish to this race here in Baku. Coming through now, moving up into Castle section. What will we see happen coming out of these drivers down those back straights? What a fantastic race this has been. Safety car on one of the final laps here. I do believe it was lap 22 that we saw that car come out. Travesty taking a 3-second time penalty. Skybits will be very happy about that. That will be one thing to note. Travesty, 5-second penalty for a severe collision with Skybits. Oh no, what happened there? We're going to see that play a huge part into this race, as he is more than likely going to drop back into 9th to finish this race. Not too sure what happened with the Red Bull and the Haas driver there. I'm sure we'll see the stewards take a look at the end of the race, but it is Brownie coming home so far. Currently half a second ahead of that racing point. That is going to be a very tight finish to this race here in Baku. Brownie crossing the line first with a very close finish for the racing point of Some Idiot in second. David in third in that Renault now, as Zavi comes down across the line, finishing in fourth. Smasha fifth in the Ferrari. Tesmo sixth in that Toro Rosso. He'll take a penalty, promoting Skybits up into sixth in the Red Bull. Gelmel looking to finish the race now in that Renault. We'll see if he has any penalties affecting his race, but he's going to come home in 8th. Travesty now, the last to finish the race here, as Big Boy finishes in 10th after being lapped. Travesty finishing off the race here in 9th. So all of the drivers coming through the finish line here in Baku will go home with points. Can't be too many drivers disappointed here after all of the DNFs that we've seen. What a crazy race here in Azerbaijan. Here we have the final times by these drivers. It looks like Brownie possibly set the fastest lap of the race with a 140.4 on those soft compound tires. Skybits moving back a position. He is in 6th, back from 5th. Brownie, he started this race on pole, and he will finish the race leader. Fantastic drive from him. Some Idiot moving up a place into 2nd. David up into a podium position from 7th. Very, very good to see that. Zavi in 4th from 8th. Very nice. Smasha 5th from 9th. Also very, very nice. Tesmo moving up 5 places into 7th. It is the Renault of Gelmel moving up literally double his grid position, so he's moved up into 8th from 16th. Very nice. Travesty falling back a few places there due to time penalties and collisions. He started in 6th, he'll finish in 9th. And it's Big Boy Daniel starting in 14th, moving up into 10th. I can't see him being too upset about that. Unfortunately, he had a very, very difficult race. Many pit stops, 4 pit stops being the number. Skybits also with the 4 pit stops. Those guys being the only 2 drivers here. Double G, Pandakoi, Cali, Kai Bacchini, and Texlave were unable to finish the race, and it was the other Toro Rosso, whom I forget the name of, who was unable to start this race here. What a race, guys. Fantastic drive here in Azerbaijan. That was a really fun race to commentate. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to do that.